By the late Middle Ages, the Jews, a powerless minority in every land, had become objects of hatred and persecution all over Europe. In Spain, Jews had once been prosperous and prominent. Many had converted to the Catholic faith. But in 1492, more than 100,000 Jews were expelled. Many of those who remained and converted were tortured by the Spanish Inquisition. In Italy and Germany, too, the Jews were openly repressed and segregated in ghettos. Their holy books, especially the Talmud, were seized and burned as a source of heresy. In the art of the period, Jews frequently appeared like devils in human form, always striking grotesque poses. They were often portrayed suckling the teats of sows, or in this specifically German motif, forced to eat the excrement.
The image was designed to suggest in people's minds an alliance between Jews and the devil, between Jews and everything negative. And so you have Jews associated with the black arts, with money, Jews associated with all of the attributes of the devil. And as you have the Inquisition increasingly involved with witch trials, an increasing amount of teaching about the existence of hell in the late Middle Ages, increasingly the Jew comes to stand in the place of the devil and is identified with an image of whatever is satanic.
New ideas supported anti-Semitism. In 1519, Martin Luther rose against the Catholic Church and established the Protestant faith. When Jews refused to convert, Luther denounced them with a fury usually reserved for the Pope.
First, their synagogues or churches should be set on fire. Their homes should likewise be broken down and destroyed. They should be deprived of their prayer books and Talmuds, in which such idolatry, lies, cursing, and blasphemy are taught. Their rabbis must be forbidden under threat of death to teach any more. Everything that they possess, they stole and robbed from us through their usury. But the young and strong Jews and Jewesses should be given the flail, the axe, the hoe, the spade, the distaff and spindle, and let them earn their bread by the sweat of their noses. May we all be free of this insufferable burden, the Jews.
He did not want them to be exterminated, but he wanted to be placed in working camps under strict conditions. That would be the conditions under which to retain the Jews. Now, it are these writings that have been dug out by the Nazis. It are these writings that have made Luther such a powerful voice in the history of anti-Semitism. For Luther, there is no good Jew but a converted Jew. In order to convert them, he wanted to bring them out of the ghetto. He is the first one to say that we are responsible by forcing them into usury. We don't allow Christians to commit usury, that is to take a percentage from money, and we force them out of all other professions. Therefore, we force them to take them out of the ghetto and put them into labor camps. Of course, you can already hear how the Nazis then immediately exploited this. He meant take them out of the ghetto and have them integrated in the population. Then they are out of this Jewish context, and we can get to them in order to convert them to become Christians. Now, the other aspect is, why is he indeed a major spokesman in the history of anti-Semitism? Because for him, the Jews, with the Pope and the Turk, are the three arms of the Antichrist. That is the devil, Satan, who has been attacking the church from the beginning of times. Now, you have to convert the Turks, you probably can't convert the Pope, and you have to do everything possible to convert the Jews. Therefore, keep them in your territory. Against the imperial policy to throw the Jews out of your territory, he wanted to keep the Jews within the territory, not because he respected the Jews in his otherness, because he's a Jew, but to have a chance to missionize.
By the 19th century, Europe had become more secular. Many Jews assimilated into the bourgeois society, shaping its business life, its culture, and its politics. Soon, anti-Semitism took a new form.
Jews did not become peasants. They did not become workers. They did not become craftsmen. But they went into academic professions. They became journalists. They became editors of newspapers, publishers, entrepreneurs, bankers. They seemed to be members of the elite. This was not the kind of assimilation that had been originally anticipated. The Jews were suddenly jumping to the head of the queue. Anti-Semitism also has to be seen as a reaction of professional and economic envy at this phenomenon, because no other group in European society within such a short space of time had known such a dramatic leap and transformation of their social status.
The Rothschilds became prominent financiers, but they were depicted by anti-Semites as capitalists seeking world domination. There was Karl Marx, the grandson of rabbis and son of a Christian convert. He was seen by anti-Semites as leading a world Jewish communist conspiracy bent on eliminating private property. And there were many others, scientists, thinkers, artists, and writers like Sigmund Freud, Gustav Mahler, Franz Kafka, and Albert Einstein. Their achievements would transform European civilization. This prominence, combined with otherness, led to a new wave of anti-Semitism. In a Germany devastated by a world war, the young Nazi Party blamed the Jews for the nation's collapsed economy and its spiritual bankruptcy. To buttress their ideology, the Nazis dug up a 19th century pseudo-science. This theory of races placed Aryans at the top of the ladder of civilization, Africans at the bottom, Asians and others in between. A separate category accommodated Arabs and Jews. They were called Semites and were assigned particular characteristics.
The term anti-Semitism was first used, and I suppose invented, in the year 1879 by a German writer called Wilhelm Marr. Its purpose was to provide a different and, in the terms of that period, more scientific justification for hostility to Jews. Previously, hostility to Jews had been expressed entirely in religious terms, and in enlightened 19th century Europe, religious hostility was no longer acceptable. It was regarded as obscurantist and medieval and backward.
The racial argument permitted you to say that yes, outwardly, externally, the Jews may be equal, but in terms of their racial essence, they are not only different, they are inferior. They belong to an inferior race, and they are distinct. You may not see that distinction outwardly any longer, but it is there because it's in the genes, and it's conditioned historically. So that racism, through this determinist view of how our heredity, how our genes shape our character and our nature, created a new form of discrimination, which was to prove much more subtle and much more deadly in the long run.
One of the original champions of this 19th century notion of racial status was the composer Richard Wagner. Obsessed with ethnic purity, Wagner wrote anti-Semitic and racist pamphlets. Hitler embraced Wagner's fierce anti-Semitism as well as his music. Hitler, who believed in the purity of the German race, never hid his intention toward the Jews.
If the international Jewish-German financiers in and out of Europe should succeed in plunging the nations once more into a world war, then the result will not be the Bolshevization of the earth and thus the victory of Jewry, but the annihilation of the Jewish race in Europe.
Christianity created the image of the Jew as the devil, as the sorcerer, as the usurer, as the parasitic exploiter. The Nazis took all the negative stereotypes of Christianity, but they removed the escape clause. In that sense, the final solution was exactly what it means. It was to be the final purification of a world that was corrupt and evil because of the existence of the Jews who had brought this about. And in that sense, Hitler was, of course, going beyond any Christian solution to the problem of the Jews and of Jews.